according to the Finance Ministry.
Reporting from Beirut, Lebanon, this is Curly Salazar, and I am one with 25.
Thank you, Gurley. Meanwhile, staying in Lebanon, tensions rattled the country on the 9th day of protest movement, with a powerful Shiite leader seeking to defuse them by calling his supporters away from the streets. Take a look. Now, the demonstrators, who have thronged towns and cities across Lebanon, have been demanding the removal of the entire political class, accusing many across different parties of systematic corruption. The chief of powerful Shiite movement Hezbollah, Hassan Nasrallah, warned that any cabinet resignation would lead to chaos and collapse of the economy. Nasrallah also called on his partisans to leave the streets after scuffles broke out in Beirut between them and other anti-graft protesters. Protesters again cut some of Beirut's main highways, including the road to the airport and the coastal road towards second city Tripoli and the north. The army, in a statement, urged demonstrators to refrain from such measures and respect of freedom of circulation. Rights groups, meanwhile, the Amnesty International, defended the blocking of roads as legitimate and called on Lebanese authorities to refrain from trying to forcefully disperse peaceful assemblies. Lebanon was swept up in protest last week over economic stagnation and corruption. The trigger was a raft of new taxes on calls made through messaging apps. And the government of Saad Hariri quickly axed the measure and announced emergency economic reforms. But the protests have widened to demand the removal of the entire political class. Meanwhile, 8,000 miles away, another protest is happening. Chilean protesters came out in vast numbers on Friday, continuing their calls for solutions to the country's economic hardship and for the resignation of their president, Sebastián Piñera. Our EBC correspondent Kevin Cortez reports.
Chile is still in state of emergency and rioting continues in the country. Nationwide protests are swelling despite government concessions and state of emergency. An estimated 1 million people clogged the streets of the Chilean capital on Friday. The government is grappling to contain a week of daily rioting that has now killed 19 people. Protesters congregated on White Avenues in Santiago. They marched to the capital's central square to join what has been dubbed the biggest march in Chile against the government of President Sebastián Piñera. The turmoil was triggered by a small increase in metro fares, but have morphed into a broader show of discontent with inequality. We have carabineros and military going rounds around the city, and they can be aggressive. Until now, we are in state of emergency, and there's no telling until when this would last. Reporting from Santiago, Chile, this is Kevin for Eagle News, and I'm one with 25.
Thank you, Kevin Cortez from our Chilean Bureau. Now, amid mounting efforts of human rights violations and abuses during street demonstrations against inequality in Chile, the UN Rights Chief, Michelle Bachelet, on Friday announced she was sending a special team to the country to investigate. Take a look.
On Chile, you may have seen a tweet by the High Commissioner yesterday evening about the deployment of a team. I'll give you a few more details on this deployment. We have been closely monitoring the mounting crisis in Chile, including reports of human rights violations and abuses in the context of the recent protests and the declaration of a state of emergency. Our office has received allegations of violations of international norms and standards relating to the use of force by state security forces. We have also received reports of crimes committed by third parties. The High Commissioner has thus decided to deploy a team of 3 human rights officers to the country from the 28th of October until the 22nd of November to examine the allegations, to meet with various actors, and to gather information on measures taken by the government to address the situation. The mission team will be based in Santiago, but will be visiting cities throughout the country.
Now, this drone footage filmed on Friday captured the extent of the anti-government protests in Chile's capital, Santiago. An estimated 1 million demonstrators took part in the rally demanding the resignation of the President Sebastián Piñera. There have been demonstrations against falling wages, education costs, and a lack of health services for nearly a week. The demonstrations were also triggered by a metro fare hike, which was later withdrawn. But the protests continued with demands to address the rising cost of living, pension reform, and alleged abuse of power by police. And demonstrators are taking to the streets of Cochabamba to oppose the fourth term of President Evo Morales. Take a look. Bolivia's Electoral Tribunal concluded its count of general election votes on Friday and confirmed Morales' controversial re-election despite opposition accusations of fraud. His opponent, Carlos Mesa, rejected the results, alleging officials were tampering with the vote counting. On Thursday, the European Union, United States, Brazil, Argentina, and Colombia called for a second-round runoff to restore trust and confidence in the electoral process. The Organization of American States, or OAS, had already expressed surprise and concern over Monday's sudden shift in official tallies, which increased Morales' lead and has agreed to look into the results. President Evo Morales won the 2009 and 2014 elections with more than 60% of the vote, but his popularity has waned amid allegations of corruption and authoritarianism. Morales points to a decade of economic stability and considerable industrialization as his achievements, while insisting he has brought dignity to Bolivia's indigenous population, the largest in Latin America. And renewed anti-government protests across Iraq left more than 40 people dead through tear gas, live rounds, and fires. Take a look. Now, the protests represent a second phase of a week-long movement in early October. Protests over corruption, unemployment, and lack of basic services. However, demonstrations were suspended after security forces started using live ammunition, reportedly killing nearly 150 people. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres on Friday said the deaths were the result of substantial rights violations. Parliament is scheduled to meet on Saturday to discuss the protests further. Furious protests across Catalunya after lengthy prison sentences handed to pro-independence leaders. Spain's Supreme Court handed down prison sentences of between 9 and 13 years to 9 Catalan independence leaders for their part in a failed attempt to split from Spain in 2017. Here's Lynn Tumbaga Diaz.
Barcelona antifascista. Barcelona antifascista.
After days of series of rallies in Barcelona, the city seems to be back to normal. Business as usual. Again, the roads open and public transport is available. Members of CDR, or Committee for the Defense of the Republic, and hundreds of students participated on the Freedom March as a response to the verdict of Supreme Court to the imprisonment of Catalan separatist leaders. But the traces of chaos cannot be denied because of damaged bus stops, street signs, burned barricades, and trash bins. The protest rallies that lasted for 5 consecutive days caused damages in public properties. The peaceful rallies in the mornings ended with violence at night, as the tension between protesters and anti-riot police heats up. Most of all, many were injured in the fight between police and protesters. But the rallies in Barcelona did not end. In fact, as of the writing of this news, more rallies were being carried out. Saturday night, protesters gathered again on the streets of Barcelona, followed by political rally on Sunday. Meanwhile, in Madrid, there were pro-amnesty demonstrations. Like in Barcelona, it ended up in violent encounters between protesters and policemen.
From Barcelona, Spain, I'm Lynn Bautista Tumbaganias, and I'm one with 25.
And staying in Barcelona, students are protesting after Spain's Supreme Court sentenced Catalan leaders to heavy jail terms over a failed independence bid in 2017. Let's listen in.
Bueno, yo creo que es el resultado lógico a la expresión de la rabia que tiene la sociedad por lo que está pasando. Y creo que es totalmente lógico y es sorprendente que no haya pasado algo así que no haya pasado antes, creo que es algo sorprendente.
Conseguir, y con la independencia a lo mejor sí, seguimos igual, pero yo no creo en eso, yo creo una hoja en blanco para crear un nuevo futuro.
Meanwhile, nearly 300 police were injured in the violent protests which erupted across Catalunya following the jailing of 9 Catalan separatist leaders earlier this month, according to the Spanish government. A total of 289 police officers were injured in the clashes, including 154 from Catalunya's regional police force. The Mossos the Esquadra government spokeswoman Isabela Celaa told the news conference following a weekly cabinet meeting. A powerful grassroots separatist organization, ANC, said Wednesday that according to Catalunya's regional health department, 579 people were injured by police violence in the protests. Catalunya's regional emergency services said over 200 people were arrested during that protest. Of these, 134 adults and 15 minors have appeared before a judge and 31 were sent to jail. Of the 15 minors, 14 were released on probation and 1 was placed in a juvenile detention center. The streets of Barcelona and other Catalan cities were rocked by demonstrations for several days after Spain's Supreme Court on October 14 sentenced the 9 leaders, mostly former members of the Catalan regional government, to prison terms of up to 13 years for sedition over a failed 2017 independence bid. Now, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has expressed concern over the wave of protests going around the world. He pointed out that while the causes of protests differ, there is a uniting element in all cases of civil unrest. Let's listen in.
We are witnessing a wave of demonstrations around the world, from the Middle East to Latin America and the Caribbean, from Europe to Africa and Asia. This quiet in people's lives is leading to anything but quiet in streets and city squares. Every situation is unique. Some protests are triggered by economic issues, including rising prices, persistent inequality, or financial systems that benefit elites. Others stem from political demands, and in some cases, people are reacting to corruption or different forms of discrimination. Yet, there are commonalities that span the continents and that should force all of us to reflect and respond. It is clear that there is a growing deficit of trust between people and political establishments and rising threats to the social contract. And the world is also wrestling with the negative impacts of globalization and new technologies, which have increased inequalities within societies. Even where people are not protesting, they are hurting and want to be heard. People want a level playing field, including social, economic, and financial systems that work for all. And they want their human rights respected and a say in the decisions that affect their lives.
Now, Mr. Guterres also said he was deeply concerned that some protests have led violence and loss of life.
There can be no excuse for violence from any quarter. Above all, I urge leaders everywhere to listen to the real problems of real people. Our world needs action and ambition to build a fair globalization, strengthen social cohesion, and tackle the climate crisis. And those are precisely the objectives of the 2030 Agenda and the Sustainable Development Goals. with solidarity and smart policies, leaders can show they get it and point the way to a more just world.
2 weeks and
Now, major protests earlier in the year were also seen in Algeria, Honduras, Nicaragua, Malawi, Russia, Sudan, Zimbabwe, France, Spain, and the United Kingdom. Meanwhile, Ravina Shamdasani, spokesperson for the Office of the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, also commented on the protests and unrest around the world. Let's listen in.
As you're all aware, current or very recent protests, some of which we will talk about today, include ones taking place in Bolivia, Chile, Hong Kong, Ecuador, Egypt, Guinea, Haiti, Iraq, and Lebanon. And of course, we have also seen major protests taking place earlier in the year in Algeria, Honduras, Nicaragua, Malawi, Russia, Sudan, Zimbabwe, as well as a number of EU countries, including France, Spain, and the UK. And this list is far from exhaustive. There are several others that we have not mentioned here. Of course, the reasons behind these protests are complex and varied, and it is important not to come to sweeping conclusions. There are common threads among many of these protests, populations that are fed up and angry, especially with socioeconomic conditions, corruption, inequalities, and the general widening gap between the rich and the poor. These sentiments are exacerbated by growing mistrust of institutions of government, politicians, and ruling elites. Some protests have been triggered by one or two specific developments and have metamorphosed into expressions of deep public dissatisfaction on a whole range of issues, spanning the political, social, and economic spectrum. Some have been fanned by poor government responses or by the excessive use of force against the initial protesters, which have then brought tens of thousands more people into the streets in solidarity with those who have been killed, injured, or arrested by security forces, who in many cases have failed to abide by international standards governing the use of force and tried to obstruct fundamental human rights, such as freedoms of peaceful assembly and association and of expression.
To other news now, British police investigating the discovery of 39 bodies in a truck said they had arrested 3 more people, as a security source in Hanoi said some of the victims could be Vietnamese. Now, the horrific case has shocked Britain and turned the spotlight onto the dangers of human trafficking. Police initially believed the victims were all Chinese nationals, but said that the picture may change on identification. A Vietnamese man told AFP he feared his sister, 26-year-old Pham Thi Chamai, was among the dead and said she had sent a heart-wrenching message to their mother before her death. He said, "My sister left Vietnam on October 3 en route to the United Kingdom." And Pham Nan Kuang said their mother received a text message from her just hours before the truck was found in Britain. She said, "I'm sorry, Mom, my path to abroad doesn't succeed. Mom, I love you so much. I'm dying because I can't breathe," she said in the message shared by the Vietnam-based human rights space. Her brother confirmed that the text message was authentic. Essex Deputy Chief Constable Pipa Mill said police would not be speculating on the nationalities of the victims, calling it a developing picture.
Unfortunately, not commenting on any speculation about the nationalities of those who have tragically lost their lives. I strongly urge journalists and people on social media not to speculate about the identities of those involved or the circumstances surrounding this investigation. We gave an initial steer on Thursday on nationality. However, this is now a developing picture.
In total, 8 women and 31 men were found dead in the refrigeration trailer on Wednesday after detaining the truck driver at the scene. A 25-year-old man from Northern Ireland on suspicion of murder. Essex police confirmed 3 additional arrests.
I can confirm we have officers working around the clock, and we have now arrested a fourth person. A 48-year-old man from Northern Ireland was arrested at Stansted Airport earlier today on suspicion of conspiracy to traffic people and on suspicion of manslaughter.
In recent years, Honolulu's police had been plagued with toxic leadership, corruption, and scandal, resulting in the arrest and conviction of its former chief. But now, with new leadership on board, the HPD faces the enormous task of winning back the public's trust and confidence. One initiative involves an outreach program that has not been implemented since 2004. Hawaii correspondent Mio Cenas with more.
Integrity, respect, fairness. These words inscribed on the flag of the Honolulu Police Department are the same values that HPD promoted to a group of young men and women who recently took part in the Youth Citizens Police Academy, the first of its kind in 15 years.
We first found out about it via the Twitter, HPD Twitter account, and we saw the notice for it. Turned around, downloaded the application, sent it in. Really just an excellent opportunity. So our sons had some openings during the summer. We live close to the training to the police academy. So we thought, hey, it was a once in a lifetime opportunity to come down, and so we decided to get them enrolled for it.
The 5-day, 3-weekend training event took place at the HPD's headquarters in downtown Honolulu and its training facility in Waipahu. Classes included cyberbullying, drug and alcohol awareness, traffic safety, and laws pertaining to juveniles. Participants also visited the department's crime lab, training academy, and SWAT facilities.
Definitely the scientific lab, as we got to interact with the powder and doing our own fingerprinting. My parents gave me the opportunity to do it. I decided to go through with it in order to gain a new kind of career path. Yeah, I definitely encourage any other people who are interested in the police academy to come join. Even if they're not old enough, they can go through the YCPA.
It was a great opportunity to meet young kids and show them that what we do in law enforcement. They seem to really enjoy themselves and wanted to participate in everything possible that we put together. Hopefully they learn some life lessons as well as, how to make good judgments down the road.
According to HPD, the Youth Citizens Police Academy was created to engage the youths in a positive environment and encourage them to make positive choices. 43 young men and women, ages 13 to 20, took part in the program.
I hope to see more kids join because from what I seen on the first day, I seen one girl that came through the program. She was very, very shy. And she started meeting new kids and then they became her friends and stuff, and I just watched her grow and she's a lot of confidence.
Another outreach activity is the Law Enforcement Explorers Program, or LEAP, which is open to young adults ages 14 to 20. LEAP is a year-round event that introduces participants to hands-on police work, as well as to national competitions and community service projects. For more information on the Youth Citizens or Law Enforcement Explorers Program, visit honolulupd.org. From Honolulu, Hawaii, I'm Mio Cenas with Eagle News, 1 with 25.
Meanwhile, Iglesia Ni Cristo members in Taiwan are preparing for an Aid to Humanity event. Reporting from Taiwan, here's Honey Jean Viernes.
In preparation of the Church of Christ or Iglesia ni Cristo Aid to Humanity, specifically to overseas Filipino workers here in Taiwan, brethren from different areas gathered here in Chongsan in the local congregation of Central Taipei, where the relief goods were packed to help in transporting to Taipei Nangang Exhibition Center, which is the venue for tomorrow's big event. This only shows the brotherhood and camaraderie of the Iglesia ni Cristo, in which with high hopes as well that this will surely benefit our fellow Filipinos. Reporting for ABC News, I'm Hanijin Viernes, and I'm on with 25.
You're watching Eagle News. We'll be right back.
Watch your favorite Net25 shows on OSN Channel 725, same day as the Philippines.
Welcome back. The Philippines is now one of the top 100 most competitive countries in the world for doing business, as it has implemented more regulatory reforms to improve its business climate. The World Bank released its Doing Business 2020 report, indicating the Philippines' sharp improvement of 29 notches in the global rankings of the ease of doing business to 95th from 124th among 190 economies. Here's Trade Secretary Ramon Lopez.
So you will be the first to hear that the World Bank has just released its Doing Business 2020 report, which shows our country's remarkable improvement relative to ease of doing business. So the Philippines EOD score, ease of doing business score, increased from 57.68 to 62.8 or plus 5.12 points. Alam niyo dito yung bawat point, napaka-laki ng galaw sa rank. Kasi we are ranked also, pagkulat kayo po, pinag-uusapan natin yung LGU ranking versus others. Tayo rin po, kung Pilipinas, we are ranked against, hanggang na ngayon, 170 countries. 190 countries. So that 62.8 new score translates now to a sharp improvement in our rank from 124th to 95th place among 190 economies. This is a long jump of 29 notches. Our double-digit improvement is even made more significant given the following facts. The Philippines was cited by the World Bank as one of the 42 economies which implemented regulatory reforms in more than 3 topics, which resulted in significant improvements in our EODB scores. The Philippines is one of the top 3 high jumpers among the 190 economies covered by the World Bank study. In terms of rank, the Philippines is the 3rd highest. In terms of the increase, next only to Togo, plus 40, Saudi Arabia, plus 30, and we share the same spot with Jordan, which also increased by plus 29 notches. Among ASEAN, Philippines recorded the highest improvement, both in rank and EODB score, followed by Myanmar, which rose from 171 to 165th, and that's plus 6 notches, and its EODB score from 44.7 to 46.8, or plus 2.08. The last time the Philippines ranked 95th, the highest spot we held so far was in the year 2014.
In other business news, General Motors hourly workers ratified a new contract with the auto giant. ending the longest automotive strike in the U.S. in nearly 50 years. Take a look. Now, the package includes an $11,000 ratification bonus, wage increases, and no additional health care costs, according to statements from GM and the United Auto Workers, touting the agreement as a compromise that worked for both sides after difficult negotiations. The vote clears the way for nearly 50,000 workers to return to work after a 40-day strike that effectively shut down GM's U.S. manufacturing operation and dented the economy of Midwestern auto manufacturing centers. With expectations of further slowing in the U.S. auto market, the union pressed hard for job security commitments while GM sought to contain costs. GM also scored key concessions, specifically an agreement that cleared the pathway to permanently shutting 4 plants, 3 of which the company had defunded in November of 2018 in a move that enraged the union. Now, analysts have projected the strike cost GM $100 million a day. The work stoppage also dented the economy in key auto manufacturing centers in Michigan and throughout the Midwest due to tens of millions of dollars of lost wages. Uni Global Education Center conducted a workshop on cyber safety awareness for women. Now, this was led by Dr. Lalit Gupta, a renowned cybersecurity expert. Our EBC correspondent from the Middle East, Lorleen Kalimlim, reports from Bahrain.
Today we're here at Uni Global Education Center for a cyber safety awareness seminar exclusive for ladies, facilitated by the cybersecurity expert himself, Dr. Lalit Gupta. This is in line with the Cybersecurity Awareness Month, which is held every October.
Every October, cybersecurity awareness is held all over the world. This is to raise awareness about the importance of cybersecurity and to ensure everyone is well equipped with all the resources needed in order to protect themselves, especially the women and children.
The purpose of this seminar today is, these days, the cyber world is the most unsafe. And it is came to my notice that among this population, the women, they are most targeted by these hackers. So it is better to make them aware that how safe they should surf the net and how they should educate their children how to be more to protect themselves. So it is not only for their benefit, it is for the benefit of the family. Because they may be using their father's mobile, their brothers. So there are a lot of financial data, financial information, all this get hacked without even them knowing it. So it is to make them aware of the do's and don'ts while using a mobile phone or when they are on a internet, when they are connectivity to the internet. So that is the purpose of this seminar.
Here in Bahrain, the Uni Global Education Center is conducting a cyber safety awareness led by one of the world's top cybersecurity experts, Dr. Lalit Gupta.
Cybercrime is ruling this world. It's very alarming. We need to be very careful what we do online and what our kids, our youth, our women are accessing online, and they are put into troubles because of that. Cybercrime we need to tackle, we need to be careful, we need to be proactive. Security is required. For parents, keep an eye what your kids are doing on mobile devices, on laptops. There is no harm in doing that. I know kids, when they grow up, I'm a father of a 15-year-old kid, they say, why do you want to know? Tell them straight, we care for you, we love you, we need to be sure that you are safe. So get them on your side. As a parent, I must know what my kid is doing online. Youth needs to be careful what they are doing online. What is wrong in real world is wrong in cyber world. So youth need to be careful what they are doing online. Thank you.
According to the management of the center, this awareness seminar is in particular designed to educate the ladies and gear them with the practical tips for their digital safety, security, and privacy.
Hi, I'm Catalan.
So this session was very useful to know more about the cyber world and media, social media. Already I just came out of Facebook. It was very nice to know about it, and also hereafter I will be very, very careful in social medias, how to avoid, and it's really nice to hear everything from today.
So don't waste your time, because in just one click, your life could be in danger. Now is the best time for everyone, especially for women, to protect themselves and their children with potential cyber crimes. This is Lordin Kalimlim, your Eagle News correspondent from Bahrain, and I'm Juan with 25.
Thank you, Lorlian. Meanwhile, Facebook began rolling out its dedicated news tab with professionally produced content. The latest move by the social network to promote journalism and shed its reputation as a platform for misinformation. Mark Zuckerberg, the CEO of Facebook, says his firm wants as much of the revenue as possible that gets generated to go to publishers to help fund high-quality journalism. Let's listen in.
We want as much of the revenue as possible that gets generated to go to publishers to help fund high-quality journalism. So that's not something that we feel like we should be taking a cut of. We also announced a $300 million commitment to journalism and helping a number of publishers, but a special focus on local news to grow their subscription business model, especially, and to do work on that. So, you know, I don't pretend that any of these steps by themselves are going to be enough. You know, for better or worse, we're a prominent part of a lot of the news cycles. I don't think that it would be reasonable to try to have a news tab that didn't cover the stuff that Facebook is doing. And you know, in order to make this a trusted source over time, they have to cover it objectively.
The tab being tested with some U.S. users will be separate from a user's normal feed. It'll include articles from partner news organizations, making a clear distinction between journalism and stories shared by users from a wide range of sources. Facebook said it would begin an initial test rollout, which would showcase local original reporting from publications in major cities, including New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, Dallas, Philadelphia, Houston, Washington, Miami, Atlanta, and Boston. Topic sections will include business, entertainment, health, science, and technology, and sports. The move represents Facebook's effort to reboot its relationship with news organizations, many of which have been critical of the platform for failing to curb the spread of misinformation and for taking much of the online ad revenue. The plan notably brings together Facebook and Rupert Murdoch's News Corp. Precision, accuracy, dependability in broadcasting are highlights at the NAB New York 2019. Here's Eliza Gonzalez-Manglipmot for the report.
Do you know how it feels like to be a kid in a candy store? Well, that's how those from the broadcast industry are feeling right now here at the National Association of Broadcasters show, New York. From top-of-the-line equipment to disaster response systems to lectures addressing issues broadcasters face today, such as, quote, deepfakes versus trusted content, all here at the Jacob Javits Center. Take a look.
This tech trade show is geared to a specific audience, the broadcaster. NAB puts on display in this two-day event a diverse collection of items that would benefit any news organization. From news gathering vehicles, to video editing software, to sound booths and audio equipment, to lights and things not so high-tech but still very much important, like office furniture.
Before the disaster or after the disaster, we are using data casting technology to provide the people about the disaster-related information to make them prepare for the disaster. Where is the shelters, where they can get the medical treatment and the food supply after the disaster, those kind of things. We are providing that information through the data casting on TV.
So today we're showing off, the new thing we're showing is our quad matrix. It's a modular system of our individual matrix units. So you can have a big, you can have a large source. You can use these quad Fresnel lenses to make it punchier, or you can take them out, and this is compatible with a number of soft boxes. So like a 5-foot or a 7-foot octa. So you could use it as a soft light or as a harder light. And it's and again it's modular, so you can pull a single unit out, just 4 screws, and attach it to a yoke, and then use it that way as well.
So Unilumin is one of the largest manufacturers of LED in the world. This happens to be a 0.9 millimeter LED wall. So a 3x3 array of this product, which is U-panel, is native HD. So this is a native HD direct view LED product. Right. So one of the things about direct view LED is it's very bright. It's so traditional displays and backdrops and things like that are LCD. So LCD technology is reflective. So if you see people walk in front of LCD displays, you see a reflection sometimes. Studio lighting and things like that reflect off of the screen, and then brightness also. So you can get really rich color out of these displays. So we can meet Rec 709 and beyond with this technology. You don't have the reflectivity, so it's a really, you'll see a lot of the broadcast studios that are out there have already adopted this technology into their broadcast sets.
Well, what VCC does is really radical. We believe that everybody in the world is walking around with the world's best ENG tool sitting right here in their pocket, other pocket, and of course that's a smartphone. And we believe that we can get a high-quality live remote feed from anywhere in the world in just a few minutes over somebody's smartphone using the connectivity that they have, the device they have, without any downloads at all on the part of the interviewee. So this is a game-breaking technology. It's groundbreaking. We can bring in remotes. We can bring in audience aggregation the same way, and we can actually connect to people's control rooms, or we can produce programs without any control room at all using these remotes by smartphone.
Hello, we are with Benton White of The Whisper Room. Thank you for joining Eagle News.
Thanks for having us, Eliza.
Benton, share with us, what is The Whisper Room?
So the Whisper Room is a modular portable system that you can go in and record a broadcast. It's going to isolate the sound quite substantially. Today we have a 4-foot by 6-foot booth. We call it the Model 4872E. This is a double wall system that's going to help isolate. You can step on in here, and right when you walk in, you can kind of feel the difference.
Yeah.
So this is our studio light. It actually changes colors. We've got a lot of excuse me, guys. We have a lot of other optional features in the booth. This booth comes with a large window, so you can have visibility. It also comes with a series of these panels that you can move around to get the sound that you're looking for. It really helps with the reverberation inside a room. But all of our booths come standard with ventilation. It's going to help out cycle through the host room air so you can stay cool while you're doing your voiceover work. A lot of people use this for recording an audio book, or audiologists use them for hearing tests. There's a whole bunch of applications, really.
Okay, and they come in different sizes?
We have 26 different sizes and 2 levels of isolation. This is one of our smaller booths. They get quite big. Our largest is an 8x16 booth. You could actually fit a whole band in that if you'd like. And if you want to record them, you got it.
And you said it's modular.
This is modular, so each one of these pieces, they bolt together. So Eliza, you and I, we could actually assemble this whole booth in about 3 hours and tear it down in about half the amount of time.
Seeing the latest gear is not the only cool thing here, but the lectures on various topics given by speakers on stages strategically located throughout the venue.
To sustain one's relevance in this industry, one needs to keep up not only with the latest news, but also with the latest technology. But more importantly, delivering information with the sharpest detail, swiftness, and accuracy is the goal everyone here shares. From the NAB Show New York 2019, here in New York City, I am Eliza Gonzalez Manglikmont, 1 with 25.
Thank you, Eliza. You're watching Eagle News. Environment News is up next. Stay tuned.
Tungkulin ng MTRCB ang mag-provide na appropriate ratings sa lahat ng TV shows. Para ugaliin ng pamilya ang
To Florida now, there's no doubt that mixed martial arts have hit the mainstream of competition like the UFC, leading the way to the United States. Another organization seeks to make its impact in the U.S. by doing things a little different and by having the competitors fight using their bare knuckles. Jay Rosquitas has more.
Once again, fighting sports continue to be a strong presence here in the city of Tampa. As you see behind me is the Bare Knuckle Fighting Championships 8, where headliners clash with Jim Allers facing Julian Lane, and the heavyweight bout of Antonio Silva faces Gabriel Gonzaga. Who will be tonight's winner? Here's the highlights for tonight's match.
Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship fighters square off in the squared circle, a 22-foot circular ring atop a 28-foot square platform, allowing for optimal viewing. While fighters have their wrists and thumbs taped, their knuckles are completely exposed. There are 5 2-minute rounds in each bout. When fighters are in a clinch, they are permitted to strike with one arm to punch their way out. Winners are decided via knockout, technical knockout, or judge's decision. The 3 bouts in the prelims ended quickly, each with a knockout. Zach Jusola started the night with a second-round knockout of Fred Pierce. In his homecoming bout, Tampa fighter Jared Warren knocked down Brian Maxwell twice in the first round, earning his first win via TKO. Cuban fighter out of Miami, Gustavo Trujillo, earned the fastest knockout of the night, defeating Robert Morrow in 32 seconds. In the main card, Florida fighters continued to dominate the action. Delaney Owen of Clearwater defeated Sheena Starr in the only female bout of the night. Owen knocked Starr down in the second round. Starr was able to get up but refused to continue, giving Owen the TKO win.
I was feeling really good. I was actually feeling really confident. There was definitely, some pressure being the only female fight. My 3 other teammates before me all got knockouts, so I was like, I want to get another knockout. Like this is going to be fun. But yeah, other than that, it was just another day in the office.
Spring Hill native and crowd favorite Abdil Velasquez had an impressive showing against Rick Caruso. In the first round, Velasquez knocked down Caruso with the left and then continued to apply pressure, subsequently knocked him down again before the end of the round. In the second round, Velasquez remained relentless, knocking Caruso down again, causing the ref to put a stop to the fight.
This fight, I really stick to the game plan. The game plan was just to, go and strike and be aggressive and push, be aggressive, because if you don't be aggressive, he can't really strike as a tall guy.
In the co-main event of the night, Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship pitted undefeated Jim Allers against Julian Lane. Looking to extend his win streak, Allers came out fast and aggressive, setting the tone for the fight. He landed an uppercut in round 2 that dropped Lane to the canvas. Despite Lane being clearly shaken and woozy, the ref allowed the fight to continue. After another barrage of punches from Allers, the ref quickly stepped in and called the bout.
I want to be that guy. I want to be the face of Bare Knuckle. I want to be the one that they can be like, yo, we got Jim Allers on the card, and people are excited to see it, buying pay-per-views to see me. So I want to grow with the company. I'm a company man.
Antonio Bigfoot Silva and Gabriel Gonzaga paired off in the main event. The clash between these two heavyweights got off to a slow start, but Gonzaga looked to be faster and the aggressor. In round 2, Gonzaga was able to drop Silva twice, with the ref stopping the fight after the second knockdown.
And that's a wrap here at the Florida State Fairgrounds. Stay tuned for more fighting sports coverages, bringing to you for EBC Sports International. I'm Jay Rosquitas signing off here in Tampa. Always one with 25.
And finally in our news, Eagle News correspondent Norman Castro takes us to the New York Comic Con. Norman?
What is it about these small objects that attract everyone? Is it for fashion, or fandom, or a little bit of both? Let's look at the pin culture and how it's slowly becoming the new craze.
Pins from all companies paint the floor of the Jacob Javits Center. Pins can be found in all types of shapes, sizes, and most importantly, characters. From officially licensed brands such as Dragon Ball Z and Naruto to unique artist-created characters. We spoke to Adam Litvak, who is the EVP of Global Product Development, New Business and Licensing for Trolley Group, one of the top companies in the pin industry, as well as Dan Williams and Eric Haldy, founder and co-founder of Fig Pins.
I think it's because it's affordable and it's collectible fandom and it gets people excited. Instead of taking home a massive statue every year, you can take home a little piece of a company every year, and it gets people excited. I think that's what makes it special.
People really want to connect with the characters they love, right? So anytime you can take something off of a screen and put it into somebody's hands and make something of quality that they can really admire, that's kind of what we're going for all the time. And I think that's why pins are so special. You can have a lot of them, taking up a lot of space, and enjoy multiple characters all at the same time. So your whole fandom can get covered.
Disney pins started in about 1999, but before that, at the Atlanta Olympics, pin trading was a really big deal in the kind of Olympic community, even before that, but I know at Atlanta, it really boomed. And then Disney kind of took that baton and it's kind of carried it the last 20 years. If we go back maybe 5, 6, 7 years, you started to see enamel pins come out from individual artists, and you'd see emoji pins and different kind of like meme style pins. And then that kind of morphed into then like more licensed pins. You saw soft enamel quite a bit. Now you're seeing more hard enamel pins start to come in the formats that we're doing. So it's really kind of evolved, I would say, from the mid-90s until now, and it's kind of taking its own path.
I think that the newest layer of collecting, obviously these cons, right? There's so much more stuff available and so many more things to collect that pins are really great because you can express yourself. You can always change it out, just like jewelry, wear whatever you are feeling that day or whatever character you want to represent you that day. So I just think now there is so much available that it just makes sense that everybody would have more and want more.
I don't see it going down at all. If you keep, every year you see more pin vendors, which is a great thing for the community. It just makes it more exciting to see what other companies will bring out. I'm excited to see how it goes in the next few years, but you can tell from 2011 until now, it's really grown, yeah.
With the convention still in full swing, I better get to hunting the pins that I want for my collection. Reporting from New York City, Jacob Javits Center, I am Norman Castro, 1 with 25.
And that's the news for tonight. I'm Alma Angeles. Join us online and here again on Monday evening. From all of us here at Eagle News, thank you. We'll see you soon. I'm 1 with 25.
Ang susunod na programa ay rated PG. Ito ay nangangailangan ng patnubay at gabay ng magulang para sa mga batang manonood.